Let's go to the hotline and bring in the head coach, I guess we'll still say new head coach, of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. We are joined by Coach Matt Wells. Coach, how are things in beautiful Lubbock, Texas?
They're going great. How are you doing?
We're doing excellent. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time to chat with us. I know that we've heard a lot of people out there at Texas Tech talk about what a great fit you are for this program. But I kind of want to flip that question a little bit, and I want to ask you. You're moving over from Utah State to come here to Texas Tech. Why is Texas Tech such a good fit for you? Why is it such a good fit for Matt Wells?
Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, just initially, the initial fit from a football standpoint. I think the draw from Texas Tech, how they've scored points, the play of the quarterbacks, the play of the receivers the last 10 to 20 years, receivers especially in the last little while, but going all the way back, 20 years ago to the quarterback play and what we do on offense and the success we've had with quarterbacks at Utah State and what we do, I think is a very natural fit, first of all. Second of all, the fit that, Kirby Hokut, our AD, presented to me of what type of program he thinks it is and that it could be and that it has been. And when it won, was a little bit of who we are. I think an offense that scores points, that is going to push the ball down the field, that is blue collar, tough program that I think is a developmental program. As I look around and I see Chris Beard and the success that he's had, and, I think I want to be very similar to him. I think we are already naturally, because I think we pride ourselves on being very developmental in terms of how we coach and the investment into coaching, strength and conditioning, the training, the nutrition, everything that we do, Greg, I think fits Texas Tech. We will play in the grad school transfer market a little bit, just like Chris has, I think, and had success with that. And we certainly did that at Utah State. And so that's the football fit, I think, was very natural for me. Because that's kind of what we've done and had a great amount of success with it at Utah State. And then there's two more fits for me. Number one, it was family, being closer to where I grew up. My mom is a little bit closer, sister and her family and all that, growing up in Oklahoma. And then the fit from a recruiting standpoint, myself included, our whole staff has recruited Texas the vast majority of our careers, never with an in-state logo. All right. Which I believe is a powerful thing, the double T here in this state. But the relationships, Texas is so much relationship recruiting and relationship based when you talk about the relationships you have with high school coaches and junior college coaches as well. And we've done that. A lot of guys on our staff that have done that for a vast majority of their career. And now we get to do it from an in-state. So there were several fits, I think, that made it very natural for me. And then obviously when it was presented, it's an easy yes from my standpoint.
You were a two-time Mountain West Coach of the Year there at Utah State, now moving over to the Big 12. I think that, us in the media, we make a lot of the difference between a so-called Group of Five conference and a so-called Power Five conference. For you, is there a difference? Is there a challenge in moving from the Group of Five to Power Five, or is coaching football?
Well, I think there's absolutely a challenge, but I believe coaching football, how we did it at Utah State and how we're going to attempt to do it at Texas Tech is very, very similar. I think there's a lot of parallels, like I was saying, which fires me up, man, because of the program that we've run that I believe that can be very successful here at Texas Tech. But there's a challenge in coming to a new league. There's new defensive coordinators you got to go against. There's new offensive coordinators. There's different recruiting challenges. It's not recruiting Texas. It's just challenges. And you're learning your program and the things that we're going to sell that are completely, unbelievably positive about Lubbock and Texas Tech. And then knowing the things that people are going to negative recruit us about, I look forward to that challenge. And I think that, Texas Tech has a lot to sell, the facilities, the people. There has been good tradition here in the past, and, man, we hope to revive that and get Jones Stadium rocking again.
We're talking with Matt Wells, the new head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Coach, you're following a guy out there in Lubbock who's beloved, there in Cliff Kingsbury, a guy who set records there as a quarterback, a native son. I'm really interested from your perspective. How do you handle following a guy like that, following a guy who beloved there? Obviously didn't work out from the coaching perspective, but how do you go about following a guy that is kind of a local legend there in Lubbock?
Well, it's not real hard. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Cliff. His playing career, I think, speaks, volumes, and he's an alumni. I know how that is. I just left a school that was my alma mater and something that I had a great deal of pride in, and, welcomed, alumni back. And I just think, I have a lot of respect for Cliff and the job that he did. I mean, they scored points. He did a great job recruiting quarterbacks and developing quarterbacks. And I hope, from his standpoint as an alumni, I hope to make him proud, to be real honest with you. And we're going to come in and do what we do and be who we are. And I think our program fits Texas Tech, and I'm fired up to put our people in place and let our coaches go to work and recruiting and coaching. And there's good players here, and I'm excited to coach these guys. We've already started a little bit into spring ball, but 3 days in, but got a lot of respect for these guys and how hard they practice. And some of that has already been said here. And so, I think the sky's the limit here in Lubbock.
You've mentioned recruiting. It's been just a whirlwind for you. You get hired on November 29th, and then it's the early signing period's right around the corner, and then National Signing Day comes and goes. I'm interested overall when you take a look at obviously a truncated schedule for you, but overall when you take a look at what you guys were able to do in such a short period of time from a recruiting perspective, I'm interested in kind of your overall takeaways.
Well, that's an extremely challenging and difficult situation when there's a new coach coming in and you've got early signing day right around the corner, right? And you're focusing on keeping that class together that was already committed and here at Tech. And I think we did a good job of that. But I think the biggest thing for us, Greg, is we tried to get around our players a little bit more. And I had heard that from other coaches that had taken over jobs similar to this, and that is you better make sure that your locker room, you try to introduce yourself to them, because, Greg, here's the deal. I chose them. Yeah. They didn't choose me. They didn't come to Tech because of me or my staff, and we chose them, and we wanted to try to earn their trust, not demand their trust, but to earn it. And that takes two things. Number one, it takes time, and number two, it takes their heart. So I asked them to give me their heart. And we focused on our players, and 100 days into this thing, just a few days over 100 days, we haven't had any scholarship kids leave. And at some point there's going to be, because we all understand that, right? There's going to be some attrition, but there's going to be very, very little here in terms of that. And we need everybody to win here. But going back to your initial question, that's kind of what we did. And then the recruiting through January focused on adding a few more to this class, as well as getting a complete jump start on our 2020s and 2021s, which I think we've gotten off to a good start so far with on that. And there's more to come. And then, like I mentioned before, we're going to play in that grad school transfer market, and potentially some laid out JUCOs that fit needs. And I think as we get deeper into spring practice, we'll be able to better assess those.
Texas Tech has been kind of a bit of a pioneer in the spring game world. You guys are March 30th. You guys are going to have a scrimmage out there in Lubbock, and then another one the next week there in Midland. But then you play your spring game at the Star in Frisco. This is something that has been pretty unique to Texas Tech. I'm interested in your opinion on this, the idea of playing not only multiple spring games, but playing your spring game in a place like Frisco.
Well, I'm curious, kind of like maybe I think the rest of our coaches, to see how that plays out. I'm fired up about the one here in Lubbock. I think it'll be a great showing. We're going to have our coaches clinic. I think it's the first time they've had a coaches clinic here in a long time. That Friday night before and Saturday morning. So we're going to welcome a lot of coaches from the state of Texas, and I'm fired up about that, kind of an old school clinic, and certainly want to put that out there and make sure everybody knows that. But I know there'll be a great showing there. Midland, I'm told there's going to be maybe close to 15,000 people. Mm-hmm. And, man, I'm going to tell you what, Midland is a huge, town for us out in West Texas, Texas Tech supporters, deep. That place runs deep. And then to bring the last scrimmage to Frisco is in the Star. That's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see what it's like and the atmosphere, and certainly I think there's an advantage to all of our alumni in the DFW and the Metroplex being able to come see the Red Raiders, and certainly recruits as well. So I think it seems like it's kind of a win-win for both, and certainly that's just me kind of from an outside perspective looking in, and can't wait to get in the middle of it myself.
And what you mentioned a little bit earlier about how you guys are going to be at the forefront of developing players. You guys will be at the forefront of getting guys to really be the best that they can be. I'm interested from your perspective. Are there one or two guys already that you've seen, that you've watched work and watched practice that you think could be these breakout guys that maybe these candidates for people that we could be talking about 9 months from now as real breakout stars for the Red Raiders?
Well, that's hard. You're asking me to do it,
My bad, Coach.
Just 3 practices in, but I think there's some talented kids on this roster. The two inside linebackers are good players, Rico Jeffords and Jordan Brooks. Those 2 guys are really good players. Certainly Adrian Fry out on the corner. He had a really good year last year, and I think that's been pretty widely noted, and you can see that. I think we have some talented quarterbacks, a talented receiver. Really up front is where I'm a little bit surprised about. I think we're going to be okay up front on the O-line. We've got some guys coming back that I've gotten to look at for 3 days, and 2 guys that are going to miss this spring with injury that certainly have a lot of starting and playing experience. So, there's more to come and everything. But that's a very initial 3 days in, Greg. I'll have a better idea, as we get into spring ball. But these guys work. I got respect for these kids, for these young men that we're coaching, and they work and they practice hard. And I'm excited to see us improve as spring goes on.
Tech has always been known as kind of an offensive fireworks factory out there, and the defense kind of comes along, in a way that maybe not as well as fans would have hoped. I'm interested kind of from your perspective. This is a place that offensive players want to come play. They want to fire it up. How do you kind of turn the tide and get it so you can get these outstanding defensive players to come and want to play in Lubbock?
Well, the goal is this: every outstanding offensive player in the state of Texas, especially skilled kids, will want to play in this offense. That'll continue to be the goal. All right. And they've certainly had a lot of good players that have come out of here in the last decade. Really maybe 15 years or so, offensive skill guys. But the key to winning a lot of games, a lot consistent, is to have that type of offensive firepower. But you better be able to slow down and stop some people in the Big 12. And right now, in my very limited, kind of research and looking into the Big 12, I don't know if there's a better league out there that has the combination of receivers, quarterbacks, and play callers than the Big 12 does right now. I mean, it is a major challenge every single weekend, I think, to play defense in this league because of the offensive firepower and the coaching on the offense. And so that's an extreme challenge. Keith Patterson and our defensive staff, I know, are excited to dig into that and to play great defense. And when you play in a spread offense like we're going to play in a no huddle, high pace, up tempo offense, the biggest thing that you need is possessions. You need touches, you need possessions. And that's how defenses have to be evaluated these days when you're playing in a league like this, is stops, 4th down stops, 3 and outs, forced punts, turnovers, to get the ball back to your offense. I think that's the biggest key to playing defense in this league.
So we're talking with Matt Wells, the head coach of Texas Tech, and Coach, I know you've got a ton of work to do, but I do got to ask you, the whole family's coming to Lubbock. Your wife Jen, your 2 daughters, Jaden and Ellen, your son Wyatt. But most importantly, let's just say hypothetically that we were coming over for dinner. For dinner. What are you making for us? What's the go-to culinary specialty for Matt Wells when he gets in the kitchen?
Well, this summer when we get all moved in, or this last week, they've been here 10 days. And so I'm actually sitting on a chair in my garage right now looking at a bunch of boxes, taking spring break to help Jen and the kids get this thing unpacked. But Now, Torchy's Tacos, Evie Mae's Barbecue right now in Lubbock have been big go-tos for us. You know, there's a few more, but I mean, I'm going to be on the back grill. Either going to have some chicken or some steak, or maybe we just go country hamburgers. Over here in the summer. Pretty simple guy. But we found some good Lubbock spots to eat at. I can tell you that this week.
Yeah, you got some. You got a little culinary fare out there in the 806. He is Matt Wells. He is the new head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the new gig. Best of luck in the spring, and we'll be talking to you in the fall.
I appreciate it. Hey, congratulations on your award. I heard you just got the what is it? The sportscaster, the radio voice
Something
of the
like
year.
that.
But THSCA is a big time deal.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach.
Come on, congratulations.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time, Coach. And get to work unpacking those boxes.
Will do. Anytime. Appreciate you having me on.
There he goes, Matt Wells, the head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, joining us here on Texas Football Today. Good guy.
He's my hero for making that about you.
I'm not.
Congratulations, Greg, on your big award.
I'm not happy about that.
The only thing that would have made him better is if he brought up the other big award you're winning.
There's nothing.
You got all the awards, buddy.
Hardly.
Are we going to put the trophies next to you on the table?
Max Thompson has let it be known, Max Thompson is a new favorite head coach in the state of Texas.
Guns up, y'all.
Appreciate Matt Wells hopping on with us. I know he's got a ton going on, not just spring practice and not just all that, but also moving a family and sitting in his garage moving boxes is something we talk a lot about X's and O's, but those are the real X's and O's to keep you married and keep your family happy. So appreciate Matt Wells hopping on with us and chatting a little bit with us.